Young Virgin Mary in ancient Jewish home in Nazareth. Beautiful young woman in simple ancient robes. Oil lamp. Peaceful expression. 1st century AD. Ultra-realistic cinematic portrait. Mary holding infant Jesus in Bethlehem stable. Divine golden light around newborn. Joseph watching. Animals nearby. Peaceful sacred scene. 1st century BC. Ultra-realistic warm cinematic Mary standing at foot of cross at Golgotha, looking upward with expression of grief and faith combined. Roman soldiers nearby. Dark sky. 30 AD. Ultra-realistic emotional portrait Mary among apostles in Jerusalem. Upper room after ascension. Diverse group in ancient robes praying together. Oil lamps. 30 AD. Photorealistic wide cinematic ancient Hebrew scroll of Acts chapter 1. Open. Greek text mentioning Mary with disciples in prayer. Oil lamp. Stone desk. 1st century AD. Ultra-realistic macro photography. Jesus on cross looking down at Mary and beloved disciple John speaking final words of care. Golgotha. 30 AD. Ultra-realistic intimate cinematic Jesus saying to John, "Behold your mother," at crucifixion. Intimate moment of entrusting Mary to John's care. Golgotha. 30 AD. Ultra-realistic cinematic portrait. Apostle John walking with elderly Mary through ancient Jerusalem streets after crucifixion. Protective caring posture. 30 AD. Ultra-realistic cinematic ancient map of Mediterranean world carved in stone. Jerusalem and Ephesus both marked. Ancient Roman era cartography. Dramatic lighting. Ultra-realistic macro photography. Ancient port city of Ephesus. Mediterranean coastline. Roman architecture. Busy harbor. 1st century AD. Ultra-realistic wide cinematic establishing shot early Christian community gathered in ancient Jerusalem home for prayer. Diverse men and women. Oil lamps. 1st century AD. Photorealistic warm cinematic ancient Gethsemane garden at dawn. Olive trees. Stone tomb entrance visible. Jerusalem hills. Cypress trees. 1st century AD. Ultra-realistic atmospheric landscape. Ancient church of the Dormition exterior in Jerusalem. Byzantine architecture. Stone walls. Cypress trees. Evening light. Photorealistic landscape photography. Ancient stone crypt beneath Jerusalem church. Empty tomb carved in rock. Oil lamps. Sacred atmosphere. 1st century AD. Ultra-realistic cinematic ancient Jerusalem pilgrims approaching Gethsemane Valley. Diverse group in ancient robes. Temple Mount visible. 5th century AD atmosphere. Ultra-realistic wide shot. Apostle John preaching in ancient Ephesus marketplace. Diverse crowd listening. Roman architecture columns. 1st century AD. Photorealistic wide cinematic ancient stone house on hillside near Ephesus, Turkey. Simple 1st century construction. Olive trees surrounding. Mediterranean landscape. Ultra-realistic landscape photography. Archaeological excavation. Discovering ancient stone foundation. Careful brushwork revealing 1st century AD masonry. Scholarly discovery atmosphere. Photorealistic documentary. Pope Paul VI visiting ancient shrine in Turkey. Religious pilgrimage. 1967 atmosphere. Sacred location. Photorealistic documentary. Ancient Ephesus council gathering. Bishops and church leaders in discussion. Large stone basilica. 5th century AD. 431 council atmosphere. Photorealistic wide shot ancient scroll of Gospel of John open. Greek text of Jesus entrusting Mary to John. Oil lamp. Stone desk. 1st century AD. Ultra-realistic macro photography. Mary and John arriving in ancient Ephesus by boat. Mediterranean harbor. Humble travelers in ancient robes. 1st century AD. Ultra-realistic cinematic angel Gabriel appearing to young Mary in Nazareth home. Magnificent divine presence. Mary's expression of wonder and awe. 1st century BC. Ultra-realistic dramatic cinematic Mary saying yes to angel Gabriel. Kneeling in humble acceptance. Divine light surrounding the moment. Nazareth home. 1st century BC. Ultra-realistic ancient Hebrew scroll of Luke chapter 1. Open. Greek text of Mary's Magnificat. My soul glorifies the Lord. oil lamp, stone desk, ultra-realistic macro Mary singing Magnificat prayer, hands raised in worship, expression of joy and humility, ancient Judean home, 1st century BC, ultra-realistic portrait, subscribe notification bell glowing warmly, ancient oil lamp beside it, symbolic invitation, Jerusalem stone background, ultra-realistic concept, photography, ancient apocryphal manuscript of Transitus Mariae open, aged Latin text, candlelight, medieval scriptorium, ultra-realistic macro photography, angel appearing to elderly Mary in ancient Jerusalem home, delivering news of her coming departure, divine light, oil lamp, 1st century AD, ultra-realistic cinematic elderly Mary, holding a palm branch brought by angel, peaceful expression of readiness, ancient Jerusalem home, oil lamp, 1st century AD, ultra-realistic intimate portrait, apostles miraculously gathered around Mary's deathbed in Jerusalem, diverse group in ancient robes, oil lamps, emotional farewell scene, 1st century AD, ultra-realistic wide Apostle John, arriving first to Mary's side in ancient Jerusalem, kneeling beside elderly Mary, emotional reunion, stone room, oil lamps, 1st century AD, ultra-realistic Mary, peacefully passing away surrounded by apostles, serene expression, ancient Jerusalem stone room, oil lamps casting warm light, 1st century AD, photorealistic cinematic risen Jesus, appearing to receive Mary's soul, divine luminous figure, Mary's soul depicted as luminous figure departing, ancient setting, 1st century AD, cinematic photorealism, apostles carrying Mary's body in solemn procession toward Gethsemane, ancient Jerusalem streets, morning crowd, evening light, 1st century AD, ultra-realistic wide shot, ancient stone tomb being sealed in Gethsemane garden, apostles gathered solemnly, cypress trees, evening light, 1st century AD, ultra-realistic cinematic apostles discovering empty tomb with only burial linens remaining. Expressions of wonder and awe, Gethsemane garden, 1st century AD, ultra-realistic cinematic empty tomb with lingering aroma of flowers, burial linens neatly left, divine golden light at entrance, 1st century AD Gethsemane, ethereal ultra-realistic ancient church council debate about Mary's Dormition, bishops gesturing with scrolls, stone hall, 4th century AD, photorealistic wide-shot ancient Latin proclamation document with papal seal, official church document, candlelight, 1950-style manuscript, ultra-realistic macro photography, Pope Pius XII making solemn proclamation, elaborate papal vestments, St. Peter's Basilica, 1950 atmosphere, photorealistic Orthodox icon of Dormition of Theotokos, Byzantine style, Jesus holding Mary's soul, apostles gathered, gold leaf background, ultra-realistic macro of icon display, Orthodox bishop in traditional robes conducting Dormition feast liturgy, incense smoke, golden lamplight, ancient Byzantine church interior, photorealistic cinematic Protestant pastor, preaching about Mary from open Bible, simple church interior, congregation listening, modern setting, photorealistic ancient Hebrew scroll of Acts chapter 1, showing upper room prayer gathering, Greek text, oil lamp, stone desk, ultra-realistic macro photography, young Mary bringing infant Jesus to Jerusalem temple, Simeon receiving the child with joy, Anna watching, temple interior, 1st century BC, ultra-realistic cinematic Simeon speaking prophecy to Mary, a sword will pierce your soul, Mary's expression of solemn listening, temple interior, 1st century BC, ultra-realistic Mary and Joseph fleeing to Egypt by night with infant Jesus, donkey, moonlit desert road, urgent escape, 1st century BC, ultra-realistic cinematic landscape, 12-year-old Jesus found in temple among teachers, Mary and Joseph relieved expression, temple courtyard, Jerusalem, ultra-realistic cinematic wedding at Cana, Mary approaching Jesus with concern, servants nearby, Jewish wedding feast, Galilee, 30 AD. Ultra-realistic cinematic wide shot Mary saying to servants, "Do whatever he tells you," at Cana wedding. Servants listening attentively. Mary's expression of faith, 30 AD. Ultra-realistic cinematic Jesus turning water into wine at Cana. Servants bringing stone water jars. Steward tasting with amazement. Galilee wedding, 30 AD. Ultra-realistic cinematic Mary watching Jesus teach large crowd from distance. Expression of wonder and maternal pride. Galilean hillside, 30 AD. Ultra-realistic cinematic portrait. Mary and other women following Jesus on dusty Judean road. Diverse group of faithful women in ancient robes, 30 AD. Photorealistic wide cinematic ancient Hebrew scroll of John chapter 19 open. Greek text of Jesus entrusting Mary to John from cross. Oil lamp. Ultra-realistic macro photography. Mary's face in close-up at foot of cross. Tears and grief, but unwavering faith. Golgotha, 30 AD. Ultra-realistic intimate psychological portrait. Ancient Quran, open to Surah Maryam. Arabic calligraphy. Ornate decorated page. Oil lamp. Islamic scholarship atmosphere. Ultra-realistic macro photography. Muslim scholar reading about Maryam in ancient mosque. Candlelight. Arabic text. Reverent atmosphere. Ancient Islamic setting. Ultra-realistic portrait. Ancient mosaic of Virgin Mary in early Byzantine church. Gold tessera. Formal frontal portrait. Eastern Mediterranean. 3rd century AD. Ultra-realistic macro photography. Ancient Egyptian Coptic icon of Virgin Mary. Distinctive Coptic style. Gold leaf, incense smoke. Coptic church interior. Ultra-realistic macro photography. Ancient Polish Black Madonna of Częstochowa icon. Distinctive dark face. Byzantine style. Candlelight. Pilgrim's viewing. Ultra-realistic macro-ancient Ukrainian Byzantine icon of Theotokos. Traditional iconographic style. Gold background. Oil lamp. Orthodox church interior. Photorealistic macro-ancient Mexican Guadalupe apparition painting. Our Lady of Guadalupe. Traditional style. Roses. Juan Diego figure. Ultra-realistic macro of artwork display. Ancient Sarah and Abraham in Mesopotamian landscape. Elderly couple with miraculous child Isaac, 2000 BC. Ultra-realistic cinematic portrait. Ancient Hannah praying at Shiloh Tabernacle. Tears of desperate prayer. Priest Eli watching. Ancient Israelite setting. Ultra-realistic cinematic ancient Ruth showing loyalty to Naomi on road. Two women walking together. Ancient Judean landscape. Ultra-realistic cinematic wide shot. Ancient prophetess Anna in Jerusalem. Temple praying. Elderly woman in prayer. Temple interior. Oil lamps. 1st century BC. Ultra-realistic portrait. Ancient Hebrew scroll of Luke chapter 1. Open showing Hannah's song, parallel with Magnificat. Oil lamp. Stone desk. Ultra-realistic macro photography. Ancient Jewish girl saying morning prayers in Nazareth home. Simple stone room. Oil lamp. Dawn light through small window. Ultra-realistic warm portrait Mary holding adult Jesus gaze in mutual love and understanding. Ancient Galilee setting. Intimate mother and son moment. 30 AD. Ultra-realistic cinematic portrait. Ancient Jerusalem at sunset from above. Temple Mount glowing. City walls. Gethsemane Valley visible below. Birds in flight. Ultra-realistic panoramic ancient stone path winding through Gethsemane olive grove. Ancient olive trees. Evening light. Sacred atmosphere. Jerusalem. Ultra-realistic landscape. Apostle John elderly writing gospel in Ephesus, recalling memories of Mary. Stone room. Oil lamp. Late 1st century AD. Ultra-realistic portrait. Ancient Ephesus archaeological ruins. Towering columns of Library of Celsus. Dramatic golden light. Modern Turkey. Photorealistic landscape photography. Ancient house church in Ephesus where Mary lived. Simple stone rooms. Oil lamps. Mediterranean courtyard. 1st century AD. Ultra-realistic atmospheric ancient prayer gathering at Tomb of Mary in Gethsemane. Early Christian pilgrims in ancient robes. Oil lamps. reverent atmosphere, 5th century AD. Photorealistic ancient Byzantine basilica over Tomb of Mary in Gethsemane, ornate architecture, pilgrims, 5th century AD. Ultra-realistic wide cinematic Mary's empty tomb interior in Gethsemane, carved stone burial shelf, lingering divine light, sacred and peaceful. Ultra-realistic atmospheric ancient Hebrew scroll of John chapter 2, open, Greek text of Mary's last words, do whatever he tells you. Oil lamp, stone desk, ultra-realistic macro photography, Mary speaking her last recorded words. Do whatever he tells you to servants at Cana. Authoritative yet humble gesture, 30 AD. Ultra-realistic cinematic ancient Jewish woman in prayer shawl, praying alone in stone room at dawn. Oil lamp, Jerusalem, 1st century AD. Ultra-realistic warm intimate portrait, ancient congregation of diverse believers praying together in stone room. Hands raised, oil lamps, 1st century AD. Photorealistic cinematic risen Jesus appearing to Mary Magdalene first in garden. Concept of Jesus appearing to his mother first. Jerusalem garden dawn, 30 AD. Ultra-realistic cinematic Mary in ecstatic prayer after Pentecost. Holy Spirit tongues of fire visible. Jerusalem upper room, diverse disciples, 30 AD. Ultra-realistic dramatic cinematic elderly Mary in peaceful prayer in ancient room, oil lamp, serene expression of faith and wisdom. Jerusalem or Ephesus, 1st century AD. Ultra-realistic intimate portrait, ancient stone inscription in Greek Theotokos, Mother of God, carved in stone. Torchlight, 4th century AD church wall. Ultra-realistic macro photography, ancient path of pilgrimage leading to Gethsemane Valley. Jerusalem walls visible. Cypress trees, pilgrims approaching, 5th century AD. Ultra-realistic wide cinematic ancient Jerusalem panorama at dawn. Golden light flooding city. Temple Mount gleaming. Gethsemane Valley in foreground, birds in flight. Ultra-realistic panoramic sunrise over ancient Ephesus ruins. Golden light on marble columns. Mediterranean Sea visible in distance. Birds in flight. Ultra-realistic landscape photography. Ancient oil lamp burning steadily in stone niche. Warm golden flame, symbol of Mary's enduring faith and light. 1st century AD. Ultra-realistic macro, Mary's figure walking away into divine light. Ancient Jerusalem stone street, symbolic of her departure to eternity. 1st century AD. Cinematic photorealism, ancient stone with carved cross and Mary's name in Greek. Ancient Christian burial symbol, torchlight. Ultra-realistic macro photography, empty stone tomb in Jerusalem, garden at dawn, divine golden morning light, cypress trees, profound peace and mystery. 1st century AD. Ultra-realistic ethereal ancient Jewish woman, comforting grieving younger woman in stone courtyard, arm around shoulders, maternal tenderness. Jerusalem, 1st century AD. Ultra-realistic Jesus and Mary in final embrace before his ministry begins. Nazareth home, tender mother and son farewell. 30 AD. Ultra-realistic intimate cinematic portrait. Ancient Jerusalem at golden hour. Entire city glowing. Temple Mount gleaming. Gethsemane Valley, peaceful below. 1st century AD. Ultra-realistic panoramic photography.